Hello there! Welcome back to Nature and Science for Kids. This is one of our question-answering episodes. You send in questions, and I will do my best to answer them. I have a flockload of questions in front of me from listeners, so let's get started because some of these might take a while to answer thoroughly. Question 1. Why does cold make injuries feel worse? Yeah, has anybody else experienced that? It's true! It hurts more in wintertime when you're cold. And right now in Pennsylvania, it's wintertime, so it feels cold. Injuries hurt more. Just 3 days ago, I was going to get in the creek, and it's cold. The water was barely above freezing. It was 34.3 degrees Fahrenheit, a little bit above 0 degrees Celsius. I slipped on ice and fell, and it hurt. Why is it that cold makes injuries feel worse? According to the research I conducted, this is what I found out. First of all, your body's trying to conserve heat. Save. To do that, it pulls some of the blood away from some of the exterior and sends it to your core, to the organs. This can lead to blood vessels constricting or tightening, getting smaller, and that can feel uncomfortable to begin with. Additionally, cold temperatures make nerve endings more sensitive, which can increase pain. Also, because there's less blood flowing through your arms and legs and fingers, it can make you feel more stiff and make you feel like there's more pain. Second question also has to do with pain. Why does smoke sting the eyes? That's also an interesting question. And if you've been around a fire, you know that smoke can sting the eyes. Smoke irritates the eyes. That's a word that often is used. It's because of a couple of things. One reason might be that the air is being dried out, and it can dry your eyes. Another reason is the particles in the smoke. They coat your eyes a little bit like dust might. Another question about fire. Does fire burn better when it's cold? If so, why? This was probably the most challenging to find out about. All I could find was this statement. Cold weather can suppress a fire by chilling the air and reducing moisture. My thought was, cold air tends to have less moisture in it because it's drier. So I thought cold air would tend to make fires burn better because there's less moisture to make things damp. Antarctica is the driest place on the planet. Even though there's snow and ice, it's the driest in the air because it's so cold. They have a risk of fires there. Because there's less moisture in the air, static shock is more likely to happen. They have to be very careful, and because things are dry, it can set a fire off. So that goes a little bit against what I just read, so I don't have a great answer for you. I wish I did. My thought is fires might be more likely to start when it's cold because there's less humidity in the air. However, depending on where you live, wildfires during the summer are a way of life. For those who live in the western portion of the United States, you know, Idaho, Montana, California, Colorado, Washington, you know that's going to happen at some point because it's drier there than it is out east typically. But as far as the cold, I don't know. More research. We need more researchers. Speaking of electric shock, each of these questions is just segueing into the next one quite well. How does electricity travel through wires? How does electricity travel through wires? This might take the longest. There needs to be some background information. For there to be electricity, essentially what's happening is electrons are flowing. Electricity is a lot like water. Imagine taking a cup of water and having a ramp and pouring the water on the upper portion of that ramp and watching the water flow down. That's very much like electricity. Electrons flow like water from an area of higher concentration to lower concentration, like water flowing downhill. What makes wires such a great place for electricity to flow? Electricity doesn't go everywhere. Why wires? Wires are what we call conductors. They allow those electrons to move easily along the path, inside the material, through the material. And that's really amazing to think about. They're conductors. They allow it to pass through well. Something that doesn't allow electricity to pass through well, that would be called an insulator. Rubber is an excellent insulator, which is why people who are dealing with electricity will wrap wires in rubber or plastic that acts similarly. An insulator. That's why wires are wrapped the way they are. We rarely see bare wires, the metal part, because they're insulated, and that's what we want. The insulation keeps the electricity from flowing to the hand, but it flows rather through the wire. Another question. This one kind of makes me laugh. How do elephants fight? Well, the one on the left side of the ring puts on his boxing gloves. The one on the right side of the ring puts on his apron. And aprons have nothing to do with fighting. That has to do with baking or cooking. Elephants don't put on boxing gloves. Obviously, they don't. Here is how they fight. You could imagine probably how they might fight. They use their tusks. They use their trunks. They charge. But before that, they'll even communicate. They'll stamp. They'll do things to try to intimidate, communicate that they're angry. I'm an angry elephant. Get out of my way. As if a human would need any warning. They will do it. They'll flap their ears out. They're letting someone else or something else know, back up. I'm angry. And if that doesn't work, then they will rush, trample, use their tusks, trunks, and boy, howdy, I do not want to see an angry elephant. I wouldn't mind seeing a genial, happy elephant from a distance, but I don't want to see an angry one. There was one final question. Like I said, there was a flock of questions, and we're ending with this one about birds. The question was related to birds and their exhaustion. Do birds get exhausted? And instead of answering, I found an excellent video that I'm going to share on Facebook. It's also on YouTube. If you check out Nature and Science for Kids on Facebook, you'll see a link to this video. I hope you'll check it out if you're able to, because it'll talk about this, birds and their exhaustion, really well. Yes, birds can get exhausted. But why is it that they can seem to fly endlessly and with little effort? Well, they're designed for it. They were designed to be able to fly gracefully with minimal effort, and they do it quite well, don't they? They make it look so easy. If I were up in the air, I would not be flying. That would not be fun. Listeners, thank you for your questions. Interesting ones. And if anyone else has a question, please send it in. You can email natureandscienceforkids@gmail.com, share a question on Facebook, or, you can send me a letter. You can stop me in the local store. Let's go for a run and ask the questions you want. Okay, I'm just kind of kidding. I'm getting a little carried away. Before we close out this show, we have some birthdays to announce. What a fun time of the year. Thank you for celebrating here on the podcast with us, your listening friends. Happy birthday, Rose, Connell, and Judah. I hope you have fabulous birthdays, but not only that you continue to explore your world or find a new way to explore your world. Now, I'm Moose on that. Until next time, keep exploring your world. Before we close out the show, we have some birthdays to announce. What a fun time of the year. Thank you for celebrating here on the podcast with us, your listening friends. Happy birthday, Rose, Connell, and Judah. I hope you have fabulous birthdays, but not only that you continue to explore your world or find a new way to explore your world.